I'm Daniel, and this happened to me and my girlfriend, Alyssa, about 2 years ago. We'd been dating for a little over a year back then, and we wanted a short weekend getaway, something nice, quiet, and just for us. We picked this trendy little Airbnb in downtown Seattle. It looked perfect in the photos, all clean white walls, wood floors, and soft lighting. The listing had something like 100 5-star reviews and was labeled Superhost. The kind of place that looks more like a design magazine spread than somewhere you'd actually live. When we arrived, the place was spotless. You know that sterile smell of cleaning spray mixed with linen detergent? That's exactly what it smelled like. There was a small welcome card on the kitchen counter that said, "Enjoy your stay, Marcus, the host." There were even snacks in a little basket by the sink. Alyssa joked that it was too perfect, like a movie set. The layout was simple: open living area, small kitchen, and 1 bedroom. But what stood out immediately was the mirror. A huge full-length mirror that covered almost the entire wall directly across from the bed. Framed in black metal, perfectly clean, not a smudge on it. I remember Alyssa saying something like, "Why would anyone put a mirror facing the bed? That's just creepy." I laughed it off. I told her it was just modern design or something. That first night was fine. We went out for dinner, came back, watched a movie, and fell asleep around midnight. The city hum outside the window kind of blended into the background: cars, wind, the occasional siren. Around 3 a.m., though, Alyssa shook me awake. I remember her whispering, "Daniel, wake up, someone's in the room." I jolted up immediately, heart pounding. The room was dark except for the faint orange glow from the streetlight filtering through the blinds. "What?" I whispered. She pointed at the mirror. I saw movement in there. I squinted toward it, but there was nothing, just our reflection, barely visible. I told her she probably dreamt it, or maybe the car lights outside flickered through the window. But she looked genuinely scared. Her breathing was uneven, and she kept her eyes fixed on the mirror. I got up, walked over, and stood right in front of it. I even touched it, expecting maybe it was warped glass or something. But no, it was just a mirror. I turned on the bedside lamp. Everything looked normal. Alyssa calmed down after a few minutes, but I remember that uneasy feeling creeping up my spine. The kind where your instincts tell you something's just off. We eventually went back to sleep, but I didn't rest easy. Every few minutes, I'd wake up and glance at that mirror, half expecting to see something staring back. The next morning, everything seemed fine again. The sunlight pouring in made the whole place feel normal. We made breakfast, went sightseeing, took pictures, the usual couple stuff. But that night, everything changed. We went to bed around 11:30. I left a dim lamp on this time, just in case. Around 3:14 a.m., I woke up again, not because of Alyssa, but because I heard something. It wasn't loud, just a soft shuffling, like feet dragging across carpet. At first, I thought it came from the hallway. But then I realized it was coming from inside the room. I looked around. Alyssa was still asleep beside me. The noise stopped. My eyes drifted toward the mirror, and that's when I froze. There was movement, subtle, slow. My reflection was there, sitting up in bed, but behind me, in the reflection, there was a man standing in the corner, not moving. Just standing. I turned my head instantly, the corner was empty. My stomach dropped. I looked back at the mirror, and he was still there. Same spot. Dark hoodie, head slightly tilted. I couldn't see his face, just the outline. My whole body locked up. I whispered Alyssa's name, trying not to make any noise. She woke up groggily and looked at me, confused. Then she followed my gaze to the mirror, and I swear to God, the second her eyes landed on it, she gasped and clutched my arms so tight her nails dug into my skin. We both saw him. That was no trick of the light. I jumped out of bed, grabbed my phone, and switched on the flashlight. The reflection changed instantly. The man was gone. I moved the light across the walls, the floor, the corners. Nothing. The air felt heavier, though. Alyssa whispered, "Let's leave. Right now." I didn't argue. We packed up as fast as we could, half-dressed, tossing everything into our bags. But when I tried the front door, the keypad wouldn't work. It kept flashing red. I tried the code again. Nothing. Alyssa started crying, saying, "Please, just get us out of here." I even tried calling the host, but the call went straight to voicemail. The Wi-Fi suddenly stopped working, and there was barely any signal, but that's when we heard it, a faint tap-tap-tap sound. Not from the door. From behind the mirror. I slowly turned toward it, my flashlight trembling in my hand. The tapping stopped. Then, a long dragging sound, like someone shifting their weight against the wall. Alyssa screamed. I grabbed a chair and swung it as hard as I could against the mirror. It cracked but didn't shatter. I hit it again and again until the glass splintered and fell away. Behind it was a crawlspace. A narrow, dark cavity that ran along the entire wall. Inside was a mattress, old, stained, and a small camera setup aimed right toward the hole where the mirror had been. There were empty water bottles, snack wrappers, and a single sleeping bag. It smelled like sweat and mildew. Alyssa backed away, covering her mouth, gagging. I felt sick. Someone had been living there, watching us. We called 911. It took nearly 20 minutes for the police to arrive. When they did, they found the crawlspace led to a maintenance corridor that connected to a locked storage room. The host, Marcus, was gone. His personal belongings were found behind that mirror. The police later told us he'd been using that space for months, secretly watching guests through the two-way glass. Some of the recovered footage dated back years. I still have nightmares about that mirror. Sometimes I wake up thinking I see movement in the corner of my room, even though there's no mirror there anymore. I don't stay in Airbnbs anymore. And I haven't slept facing a mirror since. My name's Emily, and this happened to me in the summer of 2022. I was 21 at the time, just starting my senior year of college. My best friend, Katie, was getting married in upstate New York, and I had to fly out for the weekend. I didn't want to crash with anyone since most of her family was staying together, so I booked an Airbnb nearby. It was cheap, like, suspiciously cheap, but the reviews were solid and the photos looked clean. Small one-bedroom apartment, cozy kitchen, private entrance, and walking distance to the venue. When I got there, the host, a man named Dennis, met me outside. He looked older than his profile picture, probably late 40s, balding, soft-spoken. He smiled a lot, but I don't know, there was something rehearsed about it. He handed me the keys and said, "Enjoy your stay. The basement's locked, that's just storage." I remember thinking it was weird he mentioned the basement right away. I hadn't even brought it up. Anyway, the place looked exactly like the pictures, small, tidy, neutral tones. A couch that smelled faintly like lemon cleaner, a TV, a little kitchen table by the window. The hallway led to the bedroom, and on the right side, there was a short wooden door. About 4 feet high. Kind of like one of those crawlspace doors you see in older houses. But here's the thing, that door wasn't in any of the Airbnb photos. I messaged Dennis that night just to ask, "Hey, what's the little door in the hallway?" He replied within a minute, "Just a storage room, nothing to worry about. Please don't open it." Something about that answer gave me a weird feeling. Not the words, just the tone. Too firm. The first night passed fine. I watched Netflix, unpacked, went to bed around midnight. The place was quiet, except for a faint hum from the fridge. Around 2:30 a.m., though, I woke up. At first, I didn't know why, the room was silent. But then I heard a soft scraping sound, like fingernails dragging lightly across wood, coming from the hallway. It would go on for a few seconds, stop, then start again. I sat up in bed, heart thudding, staring at the crack under the door where the hallway light glowed faintly. I told myself it was probably pipes or an animal in the walls. Still, I couldn't shake the image of that small wooden door. I finally got up, turned on the light, and crept into the hallway. The scraping stopped instantly. The air felt heavy, still, almost damp. I crouched near the little door and listened. Nothing. No sound at all. I almost reached for the handle but stopped. Something about that silence made my stomach twist. I went back to bed, left the light on, and didn't sleep much after that. The next morning, I convinced myself I'd imagined it. I went to the wedding, had a great time, came back exhausted. I fell asleep by 11. But that night, it got worse. I woke up around 3 a.m. to that same sound, the slow, rhythmic scraping. Only this time, it was louder. Closer. I sat frozen in bed, listening. Then came another sound, a low, dragging noise, like something being pulled across the floor. My heart started racing. I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight, and aimed it down the hallway. The beam hit the little wooden door, and for just a second, I swear I saw it move. Like, just the slightest shift forward, then back. I felt my throat close up. I texted Dennis again, hands shaking. Hey, I think there's something moving in your storage room. Are you sure no one else is down there? He didn't reply. I waited. 5 minutes. 10. Nothing. I could still hear faint shuffling behind the door. I thought about leaving, but it was storming outside, pouring rain, wind slamming against the windows. I didn't have a car, and the Uber drivers nearby were all unavailable. Then I heard it, 3 distinct knocks from behind that door. Slow. Deliberate. I dropped my phone. My whole body went cold. I backed into the bedroom and locked the door. I could hear my heartbeat pounding in my ears. For the rest of the night, I sat in the corner of the room, gripping the phone flashlight until the battery died. At sunrise, I packed my things and got ready to leave. I didn't care about a refund, I just wanted out. But before I left, I noticed something that made me stop cold. The little wooden door now had a padlock on the outside. The metal latch looked new, shiny, clean. I swear it hadn't been there the day before. I texted Dennis again, furious this time. Why did you lock the door from the outside? What's going on? He finally replied an hour later. You weren't supposed to go near that door. Please don't make a problem out of this. That was it. No apology, no explanation. I left immediately and went straight to the police station in town. When I told them what I'd heard, they agreed to send an officer to check the place out. I went back with them, still shaking. When the officer tried to open the small door, he frowned. It's locked from the inside, he said. He had to force it open with a crowbar. Behind it was a narrow staircase leading down into a dirt basement. The air that came out was damp and cold. The smell, it was this sickly mix of mold, metal, and rot. I'll never forget it. We went down slowly, the flashlight cutting through the dark. The walls were made of packed earth, the ceiling so low we had to duck. In the corner, there were piles of stuff, clothes, shoes, suitcases. At first, I thought it was just junk. But then I saw a purse with a luggage tag still attached. It had a woman's name on it. When the officer opened it, there was a wallet inside. a driver's license, and a phone. They called for backup immediately. Later that week, the police confirmed that some of those items belonged to missing Airbnb guests from nearby towns, people who had disappeared over the past few years. Dennis, the host, was arrested after they found blood traces in the basement soil. During questioning, he claimed he collected things people left behind. But one of those guests, a young woman who'd vanished the previous summer, was never found. I can still hear that scraping sound in my head sometimes when I can't sleep. I'll be lying in bed, half awake, and my mind replays it perfectly, that slow drag of something across wood. I don't stay in Airbnbs anymore. I don't even like basements, and whenever I scroll through listings now, the first thing I check for is any door that isn't in the photos. My name's Jason, and this happened about 3 years ago when I was 28. I worked for a small marketing firm, and my 2 coworkers, Ryan and Claire, were like my closest friends at the office. We got sent to Chicago for a client pitch, and instead of booking separate hotel rooms, we figured we'd save money by renting an Airbnb together. Ryan found one that looked perfect, clean, modern, good reviews, and way cheaper than a hotel. It was a 2-bedroom apartment downtown with an open kitchen, gray walls, and these big windows overlooking the street. The host's name was Elliot. His profile had 5 stars, a smiling picture, and dozens of positive reviews saying things like great location, super professional, felt like home. We checked in late Friday evening. Everything looked spotless. The fridge was stocked with bottled water and snacks. There were fresh towels folded neatly on each bed, even a little welcome note on the counter that said, "Enjoy your stay, please treat my home like your own." The first night was uneventful. We ordered takeout, worked on slides for the presentation, and passed out around midnight. I took the couch since the others had the bedrooms. I remember thinking how quiet it was, too quiet, almost. No city noise, no footsteps from neighbors, just the hum of the fridge and the soft tick of the wall clock. The next morning, everything still felt normal. Claire showered first, then Ryan, then me. Around noon, we left for the meeting and didn't get back until late. I went straight for the shower again. I was exhausted and sweaty. That's when I noticed it. Right above the shower head was a small, white smoke detector. Nothing strange at first glance. But as I tilted my head up, I noticed a faint red light blinking from inside it. It wasn't constant, it blinked every few seconds. I thought maybe it was a motion detector or a light sensor, but it looked off. The light was too dim, too deep inside the plastic. I stepped out, grabbed a towel, and called Ryan over. He climbed onto the counter and got close. Then he said, "Dude, this thing has a lens in it." I froze. "A lens?" He nodded. "Yeah. Look, right in the middle." Claire came in next, confused. We all stared up at it. The more I looked, the clearer it became. There was a tiny circular reflection, like a camera lens, hidden behind the mesh. My skin crawled. We texted the host immediately. Ryan typed, "Hey, there's a blinking light inside your bathroom smoke detector. Is that supposed to be there?" The reply came almost instantly. "Oh, that's just an old security feature. It doesn't work anymore, but it blinks because the battery's low." I didn't buy it. Neither did Claire. That night, we couldn't shake the weird feeling. We joked about it for a while to ease the tension, but deep down, all of us knew something was wrong. We all felt watched. Before bed, I decided to check the rest of the apartment. I scanned the ceilings, the vents, the corners, anything that could hide a camera. Nothing. It seemed clean. Eventually, I fell asleep, but I kept waking up every hour, feeling like someone was standing over me. The next morning, I went to brush my teeth. And that's when I saw it, a tiny, perfectly round hole in the corner of the bathroom mirror. At first, I thought it was just damage in the glass. But when I leaned close, I realized the hole was cleanly drilled. And behind it, faintly visible through the reflection, was something metallic. That's when panic hit. I called Ryan and Claire immediately. They rushed in, and Ryan used his phone flashlight to shine through the hole. You could see something glinting, a lens, again. Claire's face went pale. Oh my God, we've been filmed. I grabbed my phone and started recording everything, the mirror, the smoke detector, the light, the hole. My hands were shaking. Ryan said, "We're leaving. Right now." We packed up within minutes. Claire texted the host, saying we were checking out early because of a family emergency. He replied with a single thumbs up emoji. That was it. No question, no concern. Just that emoji. We got into Ryan's car and drove straight to a motel on the other side of town. Once we were there, we contacted Airbnb support, explained everything, and sent the videos and photos as evidence. They said they'd escalate it to the trust and safety team. But after that, we never heard back. 2 days later, when Ryan tried to show a friend the listing, it was gone. Completely vanished, no listing name, no reviews, nothing. It was like it had never existed. Airbnb said they were reviewing the case, but weeks went by and we got no updates. I figured they just brushed it under the rug. We tried to move on. Then, about 3 weeks later, I got a text from Claire around 2 a.m. It just said, "You need to see this." She sent me a link to some shady adult streaming site. I didn't want to click it at first, but she texted again, "Jason, it's us." I opened it, and I swear, I'll never forget what I saw. The thumbnail showed a bathroom, small, gray tiles, familiar layout. Ours. A girl was stepping out of the shower. Claire. The angle was from above, the exact position of that smoke detector. My chest went cold. I scrolled down and there were more videos. Different angles, different people, men, women, couples. Each labeled with dates and titles like business trip guests or weekend visitors. It wasn't just us, there were dozens. Maybe hundreds. Ryan and I drove to Claire's apartment that night. She was crying when we got there. She'd already contacted the police and filed a report. The detective who came to speak with us said this wasn't the first time they'd seen something like this. They traced the IP hosting the live streams. It led straight to a house just outside the city. The owner? A man named Elliot, the same name as our Airbnb host. When the police raided the property, they found a whole setup in his basement, dozens of monitors, hard drives, and live feeds from hidden cameras in different rental properties. Each one was connected to fake Airbnb accounts, all using slightly altered names and photos. The scariest part? Some of those feeds were still live. People were staying in those Airbnbs as the cameras streamed them, sleeping, eating, showering, completely unaware. We had to give statements and evidence, but we never got closure. Airbnb shut down the listings, but none of us ever found out how long we'd been filmed or how many people saw the footage. The videos disappeared after the police got involved, but I'll never forget how exposed I felt, like someone had reached into my private life and stolen something that could never be replaced. I still stay in hotels now. I can't even look at a smoke detector without feeling my chest tighten. Sometimes, when I take a shower, I catch myself glancing up at the ceiling, just to be sure, because I know that somewhere, in some dark corner of the internet, someone out there was watching us, and maybe they still are. Some doors should never be opened, and some truths should have stayed hidden in the dark. If you felt that same chill crawl down your spine, you're not alone. We all hear things we can't explain. Leave a comment, tell me what you think was really behind that door. Tap the like button if your heart raced even once, and subscribe to Noir. because the next story might make you check your own ceiling before you sleep. After all, someone might be watching you, too.